Welcome back to another episode of What's Wrong with My BMW. This is a picture of my dashboard, and there's a few things wrong, obviously, and we're going to address this stack of lights right here. Now, all three of those are actually one problem. It's the ABS control module. And you can tell that something's wrong here because I don't have traction control, nor do I have anti-lock brakes, nor do I have cruise control, which really sucks. But especially in a car like this, I want traction control. And the traction control in this car is different than any other car that I've driven because usually it's an on-off switch. It's either on or it's totally off and it lets me slip. But this actually has like a middle mode. It's like a fun mode, and I think it's a lot of fun. It lets you slip like a little bit, but not too much, and I really want that back. So I took the car to an independent BMW shop to get diagnosed, and they were gonna charge me like a lot of money to replace this part. So I thought I was going to be smart, and this should be like a really easy replacement, right? Because there's a lot of BMW 335i's in the junkyard. So I'll go to a pick and pull, pay 50 bucks, get one out of a junked car and put it in my car, and we're done, right? No, BMW does not want you to fix your own car. So the car knows that you have replaced this part and you need to reset the whole computer system, the ECU, to allow the car to accept this part, and then you can get cruise control and traction control back. I don't want to do that. And the reason I don't want to do that is because I either take it to an independent shop and they're going to charge me an arm and a leg, and just based on principle, I don't want to do that. I did actually find a pirated version of this software that I needed for free online, but it's a German car, so the software is in German. So I found some local translating services, and I inquired if I could just like pay a translator to sit with me for like 4 to 5 hours while I do this repair, and then we can reset the computer together and they'll read it off in German and translate it for me, and then I'll tell them what buttons to push. But again, that was getting prohibitively expensive. So I found another company called Module Master, and they refurbished this part. So I had to take this part out, ship it to Moscow, Idaho. They refurbished the same part. So now the BMW, it doesn't know that it's a different part because it's the same part, but now it works. So I did that. And that was honestly a total pain in the ass because you had to put the car up on jack stands for like a few weeks, and it literally has no brakes during this time. So even if I had to move it, I couldn't, or it wouldn't be safe. So I shipped that off, paid a little bit of money. They shipped it back. Now I have that part, and let's put it back in the car. Okay, here is the refurbished ABS pump module. So this needs to go in there. Okay, the pump is in, and now we need to connect the brake line. So here's something pretty cool. So Module Master, a place in Idaho, puts these little plugs on the holes so no debris can get in. And then when I take it out, it's a clean hole, which is great. And then I had put these little like things that I found at Ace Hardware. I have no idea what they are, but hopefully I won't have to bleed the brakes much because I'm not losing a whole lot of fluid. Fingers crossed. Okay, it's in. I drew a smiley face on it, connected all the brake lines, but I spilled a little bit of brake fluid and unfortunately introduced a little bit of air into the system, which we need to bleed out. Unfortunately, that is a two-person job and it's just me, so Remington, I need your help. No, Remington. Press the middle pedal, the one in the middle. Yeah, oh, okay, up. Nope, not back there. Up, bud. Press the brake. Remington. Come on, bud. Up. Okay, press the brake. Nope, brake's not there. Press the brake, bud. That one. Rem. That one. Remington was working really hard, so I'm giving him a break, and I found a one-person bleeder kit. Cool bit of kit. I have my brake fluid in here, my hand pump here, and I'm going to be forcing brake fluid through the brake, and then it's going to burp air bubbles out of the master cylinder, which is uncapped at the front of the car. Okay, the brakes are bled, and since I pushed more fluid in here, I gotta take out the excess, and I do that with a turkey baster. Okay, brakes are still a little spongy, so let's try it again. Okay, brakes are still a little spongy, so let's try it again. I've got a few messages about the kind of brake fluid I'm using. I'm using DOT4. It has a higher boiling point than DOT3. There's also a DOT 5.1 that's a higher boiling point than DOT4, but it was way more expensive and I didn't want to get it. Okay, I bled the brakes again, and I came up here to test the brake pedal, and it's still squishy. So there's still air somewhere in this system. And I pushed enough fluid through the system that about 1 liter, so that should have replaced all of the fluid inside all of the brake lines and everything here. So there's air somewhere. My fear is that air is still stuck inside of that ABS pump unit, which is the thing that I replaced. Now, usually you'd just be able to pop in like a code reader and tell it to fire, or you can turn on the car and pump the brake a few times, and that will purge the air bubbles from that system. But obviously this is a BMW, so it's not going to be that easy. There's a specific tool that you need, a specific like computer chip that you put in the car and tell it to fire in a specific order. I don't have it. I'm hoping my neighbor does.
What year is it?
It's 2000. Okay, we used the computer to fire up the ABS module, and then I bled the brakes a little bit more, and now the pedal is feeling pretty hard. So I think we're good. And the reason I'm looking for the pedal to be hard is the brake pedal will be soft if there's any air in the system. So now that it's hard, we know that we bled all the air out of that system and we're good to go. I also think this is pretty cool. So this was the first bottle of brake fluid that I extracted from the car, and it progressively gets lighter. And this was the last little bit I got out. So you can tell that, like, man, like that's such a big difference. This is way cleaner and newer than that stuff. So I'm glad we got that out. Now, for comparison's sake, that's what brand new brake fluid looks like almost water. So we weren't quite there yet, but there's also some shit in the lines, and maybe brake lines and stuff are dirty. So maybe it was just picking up some extra dirt, but I'm really happy that we did this flush. So it's been a few hundred miles in a few months, and this paint, I know I painted these in quote unquote the incorrect way, still looking really good. Welcome back to another episode of What's Wrong with My BMW. We're still working on the brakes. So this is an overview of the car. This is the front. That's the master cylinder where the brake fluid reservoir is. And then that's the ABS control module, the thing that I just replaced. So again, to recap, a few weeks ago, my brakes were still squishy, but they were getting better. And I thought I was bleeding all of the air out of the system. Now, I was actually starting with this brake. I would start bleeding here, and then I'd go over here, and then here, and then here. One of my friends reminded me that that's incorrect. I need to start over here because I need to start bleeding from the brake that's farthest away from the master cylinder. So I did that twice last night, and it's still, the brake pedal's still a little squishy, which is unfortunate. So I don't really know what's wrong. So I don't really know what that means. Maybe I'm messing this up and I'm bleeding the brakes incorrectly. Maybe I do need a professional's help where they have a specific machine that bleeds this better or can burp the ABS control module. Maybe there's still air bubbles stuck in there. But I really like having brakes on my cars, so I'm gonna take this in to get bled by a professional. So stay tuned, and hopefully that fixes it. Welcome back to another episode of the Bavarian Queen. Good news, the brakes work. And I think double good news, I didn't mess anything up. And my big fear was like, what if I was bleeding the brakes incorrectly? And then I took it to a professional shop, they bled the brakes, and I was like, oh, what's going on? And they're like, I don't know, we bled the brakes just normally and you just suck at working on your car. And luckily they didn't say that. There was a specific tool. They needed a pressure bleeder or power bleeder. I forget what they called it, but they had to hook it up to like a compressed air thing and then like force a whole bunch of shit through the system. And luckily I couldn't do that at home. So I'm actually feeling really accomplished. And now the brakes are stiff and the car drives wonderfully. So good news. So we've now officially fixed everything on our to-do list, and I think this is a pretty good stopping point. And just so you guys know, high-performance German cars like this depreciate really quickly. So this is a 2007, and when it's in perfect working condition, it's worth like $5,000. And when I took ownership of it, I took it to an independent BMW shop and they quoted me $11,000 to fix all the things wrong with it. Now, most of that was labor, so I felt okay taking a risk on a car like this. And all in all, I spent $1,450. So we saved like almost $10,000 on this repair, which was awesome. So was it worth it? Yeah, I think it was worth it. I had a ton of fun, and I appreciate you guys hanging out with me and learning all this stuff about this car. And German cars are put together totally different than the Subaru or the Jeep outside. And it was just so much fun to learn on this car. But I also feel really lucky that I had other cars. So I was able to leave this in the garage up on jack stands completely inoperable for like months on end. And if this was my only car, I would have been stuck paying that $11,400 bill, which sucks. So, mission accomplished. Good job, everyone. So, the curse of a project car is that there's no logical endpoint because there's always one more thing to do, one more thing, just one more thing. And you know what? I'm calling it. I'm done. Now, I'll still do like regular maintenance, like oil changes and stuff, but I'm not going to do anything other big thing on this. There's other things wrong with it that I've noticed that have happened in the last 6 months, and they're eventually going to go bad, but they're big jobs, and I just really don't feel like working on this car anymore. So I'm just going to drive it until it dies. But let me tell you some of the things that are wrong with it. The valve cover gasket is leaking. There's a sensor way down there that's bad. I'm leaking coolant somewhere. One of the water pumps is going bad, and that means the thermostat's probably soon after that. The rear main seal is leaking. We need a new clutch, input shaft, and throwout bearing. The high pressure fuel pump is going bad. The front turbo is somewhere down here, and the wastegate is rattling. The rear turbo is somewhere down there, and the turbo itself is making some weird noises. And each of those jobs is either incredibly labor intensive if we do it ourselves, or really expensive to pay someone else to do. So I'm done. I had a really good time working on this car. I'm going to enjoy the shit out of this car because it still drives really well and is really fun to drive. But again, I just wanted to thank all of you for coming along on this journey. This was great. Thank you.